Welcome to the Consulting Success Podcast with your host, Michael Sapersky, where we take you deep into the world of elite consultants.
Hey guys, we did encounter a few audio issues in this interview, but the information that Elizabeth shares is so valuable. So hang in there and hope you enjoy the interview. Hey, it's Michael Sapersky, and today I'm very excited to have Elizabeth Woolfe joining us. Elizabeth, welcome.
Thank you, Michael. Great to be with you.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So, Elizabeth, for those who don't know you, just take a few seconds here and give us a little introduction. Explain what you do.
Sure. I have been a nonprofit consultant for about 8 years, but I've been doing nonprofit work my entire career with one very brief foray into the for-profit world. Mm-hmm. And I concentrate primarily on working with smaller organizations because I think that they need the most help and they are often feeling very hopeless and that they can't afford a consultant or they don't have the capacity to handle a consultant's work. And I feel strongly that that's not the case, and I make it work for them and with them. It's a passion of mine.
So, how far back were you interested in nonprofit consulting or working in nonprofits?
Well, I was always really interested in health, and that's really how I came to it. And if I hadn't been afraid of chemistry, I probably would have been a doctor. Mm-hmm. But I'm very glad that I didn't go into medicine now, seeing what's going on in the medical field. And most of the friends that I have who became doctors are very unhappy now. So I'm very happy with what I'm doing. And so I have no regrets about my career path. But in pursuing a health-related field, I got a master's in public health at UCLA. Mm-hmm. And my passion at that time was really in maternal child health. And I was working in the prenatal health education arena at the time. And when I moved back to New York from California, I started doing more general patient health education for a large insurance company. And this was before the internet, kids. So we actually had paper and we did health education materials on paper and we did programs face to face. And it was a big time for health education because the health insurers were hoping that educating patients on how to be more compliant would be the ticket to better health and less usage of medical services. And to some extent it was, but what it taught me was that you can translate complicated health information into something that normal, regular people can understand. And that was a really necessary and highly prioritized skill. And I enjoyed doing it. So I did that for a while and then became connected to the breast cancer movement. I started to work for a small breast cancer organization and doing similar things. And it was around the time that a lot of the pink ribbon products started to be out there on the market. And every company wanted to put a pink ribbon on their product and sell it to benefit breast cancer, but nobody really understood what that meant. Mm-hmm. So I moved into relationship building and education and awareness in that breast cancer space and worked linking the organization to companies who wanted to help further the education and awareness in the breast cancer world. And that was a really interesting time because there was a lot of money out there and no one really understood how to make sense of what was happening in the breast cancer field at the time and in education. That we took it to being more precise and again, translating what the science was into something that people could easily understand, and
Right.
so that they could navigate their cancer experience
So
better.
let's just talk about one. I want to actually come back to the one keyword you mentioned a moment ago, which was money. But before we do that, how long now has it been? How many years have you been working in kind of nonprofit consulting in the nonprofit space now?
About 8.
Okay, and so 8 years, you built up this level of authority and expertise in the marketplace. A lot of consultants have this belief and this mindset that it's very hard to make a living as a consultant in the nonprofit world because nonprofit equals no money or very little money. So what has been your experience in that area? How can you create a thriving and successful consulting practice in the nonprofit market?
Well, for me, the short answer really is relationships. I've been, I would say blessed, but it really is by my own doing that I have been blessed in having great relationships and an incredible network that delivers for me. So when I started my business, I told everyone I knew that I was doing this. And I said, this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to do it. And you know me, and you know the kind of person that I am, and, who can you introduce me to? And it was just amazing what came from that. For me, almost all of my clients come to me via word of mouth and, one-offs and
Right.
people who have experienced my work and tell somebody else.
So it sounds like you were very proactively asking for referrals and working your network to
I did.
to generate
Working
leads.
the network, I think, is what I feel most comfortable with, and I would say I'm pretty generous with my time. I try to help other people figure out how they can be successful at this as well, because there's plenty of room in the consulting space for many different people, and everyone approaches things from their own perspective. So for me, that doesn't seem competitive. It seems, I believe strongly in mentoring and in helping other people understand how they can be better at what they do and how to communicate better with their clients. So yeah, I mean, my network has been give and take, and it's.
So do you think that the reason why you get so many referrals or introductions is because you, even before asking for those, you gave a lot of your own time to people? Or
I'd like to think so. I mean, I think relationship building again is a two-way street, and I think now it's been made a little bit easier with the advent of things like LinkedIn, because you can meet people even before you meet them. But for me, it's always been, a more direct person to person kind of communication. And people that I've met along the way through my work in breast cancer, through my earlier work doing health education things, and all along my journey have all been put into that big mixture of the people in my network. I like introducing my colleagues to other colleagues as well and seeing what transpires with that. So it's a very kind of a matchmaking experiment that usually goes very well.
how do you go about asking for referrals? I think a lot of consultants, a lot of professionals, even if they give a lot of their time, even if they're generous with it and they feel very comfortable doing that, oftentimes they don't feel comfortable asking for help or asking for potential referrals or introductions, because they don't want to feel like they're coming across as too direct or too salesy or too promotional. What goes through your mind? How do you approach getting referrals and introductions?
Well, again, I think if you've established a good relationship and a good base with someone, then it's a more natural kind of thing to say, oh, I'm doing this, and this is the kind of thing I'm doing with client X, and I'd love to do more of that. Do you know other people who are like client X who might benefit from what I do?
Mm.
And it doesn't seem salesy in the context of it being part of, your large relation.
Right. Okay.
I don't know that I would do that to someone that I had just met unless they asked me. But
so it sounds like you're really coming from a place where deep down inside, you're comfortable asking for that referral or that introduction because you really care, you really want to help, and it's really a question of who else do you know that might benefit from the expertise that I have, but in a very natural and very caring way, where it's ultimately about helping and serving others.
Absolutely, and when I hear stories of organizations that are, in my estimation, struggling or going about trying to do what they're trying to execute their mission and having a really hard time, it pains me greatly.
All right, so I think that's very important for people to hear, right? It's when you're asking for referrals and introductions, before it's like when you're selling anything, right? If you don't truly believe in what you're selling, you're going to have a very hard time selling it. And so from a mindset perspective, what I'm hearing you say, and I've seen firsthand with clients and in our own business as well, you really have to come from a place of caring and wanting to serve and to help. And regardless of what happens, like whether or not you get a referral or an introduction or whether or not you land a client, if your mindset is one of serving first and you put it out there, then you don't have to worry about anything. It's just, you get used to kind of doing that. Is that how you feel about it as well?
Yes, and that was a really pivotal point for me. When I started my business, I had 2 clients that I had lined up before I took the leap, and it was still a bit of a anxiety-producing kind of time. But I knew that I had these 2 clients, and they sort of helped me segue into the consulting life.
Mm-hmm.
But for the first couple of years, I would start to get really, really anxious right around this time of the year, which is the worst time of the year to be anxious, about what was going to happen in the following year and who were my clients going to be, and were they going to rehire me if I had, a contract with them that was to end at the end of the year, and how do you manage those kinds of things? And I talked to a couple of other people who I knew who had been doing this for longer, and they gave me some advice about the practical aspects of contracts and things like that. But the most valuable piece of advice was, trust that what you do is important to the audience that you're doing it with and for, mm-hmm. and use your network and your relationships and be confident in what your clients are learning from you, and the rest will sort of flow. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. And I tried it, and it actually worked. So now I really don't worry anymore about, am I going to have enough clients, and am I going to make enough money, and am I going to get new clients? It happens. And I have really kind of given up that anxiety cycle, and it's so much better.
It's really, I'm thankful to you for sharing that, because I think there's a lot of consultants that, whether or not they would admit it publicly, deal or have dealt with that anxiety. But I wonder what allowed you to be open to even trying that. I mean, some people would just hear that and go like, no, yeah, I mean, that sounds too good to be true. There's no way. And, they would just kind of stay where they are. What actually allowed, like, was it the people that told you that you really respected them? Was it that that's just the kind of person that you are? You said, okay, you know what, I might as well try it. Like, what lined up for you to be able to to capitalize on that information, that idea?
While we work with a lot of seasoned and experienced consultants here at Consulting Success, I'm often contacted by new early stage consultants. Invariably, the question I'm asked is, what are the steps I should take to become a successful consultant and grow my consulting business to my first 6 figures per year? Well, I'm excited to announce that we've opened the doors for our Momentum program. This is our most popular program for early stage consultants, and it has helped almost 1,000 consultants to start, run, and grow successful consulting businesses. It gives you the step-by-step plan to help you with your messaging, your fees, and pricing strategies, how to win more proposals, how to go to market more effectively, developing a marketing system to generate leads consistently, and so much more. And right now, until September the 19th, you can sign up for Momentum and get 50% off the regular price by going to consultingsuccess.com/audio. That's consultingsuccess.com/audio, AUDIO. Only 100 spots are available to join Momentum and get 50% off. This deal is only available until September the 19th or until all 100 spots are gone. We won't be opening up new spots in this program for several months, so don't wait. Go to consultingsuccess.com/audio. That's consultingsuccess.com/audio, AUDIO.
I think it was a combination of all of those things. It was, the advice was coming from someone that I respected, and I have passed that same advice on to others, and they have adopted it with success as well. So I don't think I'm the only one for whom it works. And it also does require that you believe in yourself. And I think that gets into a whole other side of things that has, a little bit to do with consulting, but also, how you're made. If you're a person who, can be self-confident in those ways, then I think you have an easier time of trusting the universe and seeing that it's going to deliver for you.
Right. So talk to me a little bit more, in kind of detail. What does that look like when you say you just need to kind of believe in yourself and believe that things will work out? I'm guessing that doesn't mean that you just kind of sit back, feet up on the coffee table, just waiting for things to land in your lap. What kind of form does this take? Is it that you're practicing some kind of like meditation, or is it that you still are doing a certain level of outreach and activity to build your network? Like, what does this actually look like?
Great question. For me, it's really about balance. And when I decided that I wanted to move into consulting, it was primarily because I had spent 25 years working for other people and commuting, and I didn't feel like I had a good balance in my life. I wanted to have more time at home and more time with my friends and more time doing yoga, which is something I really enjoy, and enjoying my life. So setting up a home office and working from home was part of that. But the other part of it is I give a lot of time to things that other people might not consider to be work.
Like what?
More like marketing and research and cultivating my network. So when I am in a city on business with a client, I will almost always try to schedule a time to meet up with people, either people I know well who are friends and colleagues, or people who I don't know well who are networking opportunities and potential links to other networking opportunities or to additional work. And I will almost always spend time doing that. It's a very high priority for me.
How consistently would you say that you are working on, the business development, the marketing, the networking? Like, how is that for you? Is it on a daily basis? Is it a certain number of days per week? Like, is it a habit for you that is done consistently, or just kind of happens when you can fit it in?
It's a habit that happens consistently, usually daily, but I would say about easily 20% of my time is on business development and marketing. An additional piece of that is I do a lot of continuing ed. I participate in a good deal of webinars, some of them having to do with specifically with the kinds of work that I do, board development, strategic planning, that kind of thing, but also more, self-development kinds of things, leadership,
Right.
and other kinds of skills development.
So, Elizabeth, your audio just kind of went out there for a second again. I just want to make sure that we heard what you said, which is that, you've definitely created a habit around this. It's something that you're doing on a very regular, most likely even daily basis. And in addition to doing your networking and kind of your outreach and, the marketing side, you're also very involved in education. And that might be webinars. It might be, giving talks to different groups. But it sounds like you're, in general, very active daily, ongoing basis where you've created this habit of putting yourself in front of prospective clients and establishing and continuing to support your authority in the marketplace. Is that accurate?
Yes, very.
And do you think that then plays a role in, because you have that level of activity, that's actually what allows you to feel more comfortable and see the results that you are seeing in terms of that you don't need to feel that level of anxiety because you've built up so much momentum that your kind of, your marketing itself and the work that you're doing with your networking and so on has just picked up enough momentum, enough steam that it moves for you. And as long as you keep feeding that machine, it's going to take care of you.
I'd like to think so, and I'm not going to stop. So it's going to be, I believe that is the case. I also think that, the majority of my clients being in the health space, it's a space that I feel comfortable in and I'm known in. So the word of mouth recommendation comes with a high level of regard because people know me personally.
Sure. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't see that connection as clearly, and maybe even if they deep down inside know it, they don't act on it. I mean, it's just so important and really great to see that you're doing this, right, where you've essentially created a habit so that whether it's meeting people in person or it's being part of webinars and trainings or education, or it's doing marketing and outreach and building new relationships, it's something that you're doing very proactively, very intentionally, and consistently, right? And that's what ultimately, I continue to see and kind of observe is what separates consultants that struggle from those that succeed, is that you don't just think about your marketing and you don't just think about, great plans to build your business. You actually implement them and you work them consistently day in, day out. It may not be every single day, but at least on a very consistent basis. And as you do that and you kind of feed that machine, or as we call it, the engine, it starts to move for you and it gains that momentum. And that's really where you can get to a place where you enjoy being able to kind of pick and choose who you want to work with. And it sounds like that's what you've created for yourself and your business as well.
Well, I like the way that you said that also, about being able to pick and choose, because that's something I feel very lucky to be able to do. But I think it points to a larger issue, and that is something that I have seen in other consultants that needs some attention and development. And that is, you should really know who you are and what you're good at and what you enjoy doing, and do that. And if you want to do other things, that's fine. But I think you have to recognize that doing those other things that aren't necessarily in your skill set might teach you something new, but also be a little bit anxiety producing initially. So you do feel comfortable doing it. But I spend a good deal of time, in the beginning of the year, kind of outlining, what kinds of work do I really want to do this year? Not just who do I want to work with, but, what are my intentions for the year? Are there things that I want to learn? Are there things I want to get better at? Are there, different kinds of skills that I have that I enjoy using that I'm not using? And how can I put those to work?
Yeah, love it. I think that's a really important message and such a big opportunity for people to be if not only around, as you said, who they're working with, but what kind of work that they do. And it's like anything, right? If you are taking on all kinds of work and working with all different kinds of clients, then really what that means is you're probably going to be doing a lot of work that you don't really enjoy, or working with people that ultimately you're not having that much fun working with. And that translates and connects to the level of results that you're going to see, into the kind of case studies that you're going to create. And then you end up with a business that can be a real mix of low value and high value clients, and, low fees and high fees. And so if you really want to work your business to a place where you're able to attract more and more of your ideal clients, it's essential that you're able to say no to the wrong kinds of clients, so that you can leave yourself the space, the time, the focus to be able to accept just the clients that are of the highest value that you ultimately want to work with most.
Right. Well, that's one of the reasons why I named my company Intuition Consulting, and I obsessed about naming the company for a long time. And I had all these different names. And one night I woke up and that word was just in my head. And I realized that I use my intuition all the time in the work that I do. Mm-hmm. And, especially in the area of identifying clients that are going to be good clients. And you have to be able to have that kind of assessment ability, or you will saddle yourself with clients that you don't end up enjoying.
Definitely. What's your thinking, Elizabeth, around having coaches, mentors, joining masterminds? Is that something that has played a role in your success in the development of your business? Or
yeah, definitely. Yes, I have worked with coaches before on a formal and as well as an informal basis. I encourage the CEOs that I work with to utilize coaches when necessary. And mentors, absolutely. I feel strongly in mentoring. I like to serve as a mentor to people who are coming up in the nonprofit world. And I have benefited tremendously from others who have been a model for me.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Elizabeth, I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and some really great insights here today with us. What's the best way for people to learn more about your work and connect with you?
The best way is via my website, which is intuitionconsult.com, or find me on LinkedIn. It's Elizabeth Woolfe, Wool, F as in Frankie.
Great. Check it out, guys. Elizabeth, again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. It's been great.
Are you ready to take your consulting business to the next level? Learn more about the Accelerator Coaching Program at consultingsuccess.com.